Welcome to Audiobook 365 Stories.
There came a time when Rihanna finished school and there was no money to send her anywhere else for more learning. The only thing she could see was the sky over the Gayfield Hills and the main street of Gayfield with the knitting mill at the end. So, Rihanna went to work at Gayfield Mill and found a job with the unskilled workers. It looked like her future was decided now. She would work, share the hard work and fun of Gayfield with the other girls she knew. One day, she would marry some boy, maybe a clerk in one of the Gayfield stores, a farmer, a school teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, the head of a department in the mill, or maybe a minister. She was well-mannered and educated enough for any of these. During the winter of her 17th year, she was still very much a child at heart. She was physically behind, a late teenager, a little shy, quiet, romantic, and loved beauty. She passionately expressed herself only when she was curled up by the stove with her pencil and the red light of the coals falling on her slim hand. She sometimes went to village parties, learned to dance very easily, and had no favorite boys in Gayfield. She had no romances. She was liked and even secretly admired, but her slight shyness, quietness, and something vague about her seemed to keep boys from being too familiar. She was thin and awkward like a tall boy, not thought to be pretty and known to be poor. But still, more than one young man sometimes remembered her gray eyes and the sweetness of her mouth, forgetting the freckles on her nose and cheeks. She had a good time that winter, excited to learn dancing, happy at showers and parties, sleigh rides, and chicken suppers. She enjoyed different village events like movies every Thursday and Saturday nights, church entertainments, amateur plays at the town hall, and lectures by the Daughters of the Old Frontier. But she never liked any boy more than another, and she never felt any boy liked her more than the others, except once, and she was not sure about that. It was old Dick Neeland's son, Jim. He had been in Paris for several years studying art, and he came to Gayfield during Christmas week. Rihanna remembered seeing him a few times when she was a little child. He usually walked across the country with his strong father, Dick Neeland of Neeland's Mills. They were an odd and interesting pair with their hunting dogs and shiny guns. Old Dick's face was red like a wrinkled winter apple, and his hair was snow white. There was a 6-year difference between Jim Neeland's age and hers. She had always thought of him as a grown and serious man. But that winter, when someone pointed him out to her at the movies, she was surprised to see he was no older than the other boys she skated and danced with. Later, at a loud village party, she saw him dancing with every girl in town. His handsome and carefree nature made him a favorite right away. Rue felt nervous about dancing with him. When her turn came, she stood up with a sudden loss of confidence as he approached. She was silent, shy, and unresponsive, letting him lead her onto the dance floor. She slowly realized he wasn't a good dancer when he accidentally stepped on her foot. Afterward, he brought her an ice cream and sat beside her. "I'm not very good at dancing," he said. "How many times did I step on your foot?" She blushed and tried to find something nice to say, but couldn't think of anything. It was clear to both of them that she had walked off the floor with a slight limp. "I'm like a steamroller," he joked. "But you dance very well, don't you?" "I just learned to dance this winter." "I thought you were an expert. Do you live here?" "Yes. I mean, I live in Brook Hollow." "That's funny. I don't remember you." People mumble when they introduce someone. "I'm Rahana Carew." "Carew," he repeated, with a furrow between his eyebrows. "From Brook Hollow." "Oh, I remember. Your father is the retired missionary with the red house by the bridge." "Yes, of course," he nodded, looking at her again. "You're the little girl my dad and I used to see across the fields when we were hunting woodcock." "I remember you," she said. "I remember you." She blushed gratefully. "Because," he added, "Dad and I were always afraid you'd wander too close and we'd accidentally shoot you. You've grown a lot, haven't you?" He had a friendly smile, though he spoke confidently and casually. He was at that age where life and success were ahead of him, full of mystery and opportunity. He already had a profession, and he wanted her to know about it. Later that evening, someone told Rue how important he had become. She was even more excited and impressed, hoping he would find her again. She didn't dare to approach him or show interest, not knowing how to do that yet. She thought he had forgotten about her. But in Jim Nealon's mind, somewhere in the back, he thought this thin, freckled girl with gray eyes should know how much of a man he had become. When he heard his hostess say that someone needed to escort Rue Carew home, he offered to do it. He walked over and asked her politely if he could. In the sleigh, under warm fur, with the moonlight shining brightly and the world covered in white snow, Rue nervously started to talk about his art, feeling like she was speaking to someone very important. "Oh, yes," he said. "I studied in Paris. I wish I were back there. But I have to draw for magazines and newspapers to make a living. I also teach at the Art League." "You must be so happy with your career," she said sincerely, not knowing any better. "It's a job," he corrected her kindly. "But it's also art," she insisted. "Oh, art," he laughed. That year, it was fashionable to dismiss talk of art. "We don't focus on art, we focus on business. When they use my drawings, I feel like I'm making progress." "You see," he admitted honestly, "I'm still new at this. I haven't had many of my drawings in magazines yet." After a pause, he added, "I've had about a dozen pictures published." Just one picture in a magazine would have amazed her. The fact that he was an artist was impressive enough. "Do you like drawing and painting?" he asked kindly. She took a deep breath, steadied her voice, and said she did. "Maybe you can create some artwork yourself one day." She wasn't sure what he meant by stuff, guessing it was a professional term. She shyly admitted that she loved drawing and wished for lessons, but it was impossible for her. At first, he didn't understand that money was the issue for her. He encouraged her to develop her talent, giving advice about the Art League, places to stay, studios, and how to achieve her dreams, until she had to tell him that such things were too expensive for her. He stayed quiet, feeling sorry for her and thinking that she probably didn't have much talent anyway. He consoled himself by deciding she would be happier in Brook Hollow than struggling to survive in New York. It seems you'd like the last part of the story rewritten in simpler language. Here's the rewritten version. It's tough, he said suddenly. This art stuff, I mean. You work hard, but then you wait for approval. They often ask for changes in your work. Starting out, it's tough to make a living. Do you? She asked. Me? No. He blushed, though she couldn't see it in the moonlight. No, he repeated, I get money from my father. I'm still new at this. Could someone support themselves by drawing for magazines? She asked nervously. Oh, well, some artists make it big and earn a lot of money, he explained. There's a girl named Jean Throssell at the Star who makes a fortune drawing delicate, filmy girls in fancy dresses. Oh! Yes, Jean Throssell and Belinda Waythorn, who does futuristic art for the Looking Glass. They're successful. Rue found it hard to follow his professional talk. Then there are artists like Alexander Fairless and Philip Lightwood who also make fortunes, he continued. But for most artists, it's tough going, Miss Carew. Is it really hard? Well, if my dad didn't support me, I don't know what I'd do. A father should help if he can. Oh, I'll pay my own way someday. I feel it. I know it. I'll make plenty of money, he assured confidently. I'm sure you will. Thank you, he smiled. My friends believe in me. I have a friend, Princess Mischenka, who encourages me. When I feel down, she supports me. She's amazing. I owe her for inviting me to her Sunday gatherings and for her friendship. A princess? Rue whispered, amazed that such mythical figures existed. She's very beautiful. Her clothes must be beautiful too, Rue ventured. Well, they're very stylish. Everything about her is stylish. Her Sunday suppers are wonderful. You meet important people, everyone who matters. He turned to her openly. I'm lucky Princess Mischenka is my friend. Honestly, Miss Carew, I don't know why she finds me interesting. Rue thought she knew, but said nothing. If I could choose, Neelan said a moment later, I'd paint battle scenes instead of illustrations. But it wouldn't pay. Couldn't you support yourself by painting battles? Not yet, he admitted. But I have hopes, plans, he laughed, pulled on the reins, and the sleigh bells chimed in the moonlight. They had arrived. At the door, he said, I hope you get a chance to take art lessons someday. Thank you for dancing with me. If you ever come to New York to study, let me know. Yes, she said. I will. He was halfway to his sleigh when he looked back and saw her in the doorway. Good night, Rue, he said warmly, feeling sorry for her. Good night, she replied. He couldn't resist going back to her, framed in the light, and kissed her softly on her warm lips. She looked up at him, blushing and bewildered. His eyes were playful, and his quick smile was charming. A shy smile crept onto her lips and stayed, even after he drove away, the sleigh bells joyfully ringing in the moonlight.